Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. My name is Troy, and if you happen to be looking for a place that you can find some super high quality dividend stocks, then congratulations, you found it. Every stock you'll see in today's video will pay a dividend, obviously, have a long history of market outperformance, which means more money in your pocket, and will pay you sooner rather than later because the ex-dividend date will be this coming week. For those that are unfamiliar, the ex-dividend date is the date you must own the company before in order to get paid the next time that company pays a dividend. The bad news is if you're late to these videos and you're watching them on Fridays after the market's already closed, or even worse, the next week, you already missed your chance and will now need to wait 3 long months before you get your first dividend from any of these stocks, since they're all quarterly payers. And Sweet Brown says, ain't nobody got time for that. The good news is I put these videos out like clockwork on Fridays at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, aka 30 minutes before the market even opens up, so you have time to watch them and see if any of these stocks are right for your portfolio or not. Also, if you happen to be a forgetful fanny and can't remember that, YouTube has you covered with the 100% free subscribe and bell buttons that will alert you when my new videos come out, so there's really no excuse other than you just hating money. Under the assumption that you guys don't hate money and you're here to make money, let's go ahead and dive into number 5 with Republic Services, stock ticker RSG. Including today's video, this is now the 3rd time I've spoken about Republic Services right here on my channel, and if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, which was March 29th of 2024, RSG is doing very well since then, so let's go ahead and learn more about this one. RSG is a quarterly payer in the industrial sector, paying $2.32 per share per year with a forward dividend yield just under 1%. RSG has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 22 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 8.01%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 7.41%, and a payout ratio sitting at 30.72%. Now, at the time of recording, Republic Services was trading 3.16% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of April 2nd with a payout date of April 15th. And looking at this chart, a single lump sum $10,000 investment into Republic Services while only reinvesting your dividends since then, 10 years ago, would have been grown into $67,533.05, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $35,593.97 in the same 10 years. Next up, and coming in at number 4 on this week's list, is Nutrien, stock ticker NTR. Including today's video, this is now the 2nd time I've spoken about this stock right here on my channel, and if you go back to the first time I spoke about it, which was March 22nd of 2024, NTR is underperforming over the past year since my first mention, but let's go ahead and look at the numbers and long-term performance right here. NTR is a quarterly payer in the material sector, paying $2.18 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 4.15%. NTR has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 8 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 5.54%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 4.19%, both of which are a little bit lower than I like. It has a payout ratio of 55.96%, but at the time of recording, NTR was trading 13.78% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of March 31st with a payout date of April 10th. And looking at this chart, it only has history over the last 8.18 years, but you can see that $10,000 investment into NTR would have grown into $95,102.91, which outperforms the S&P 500 in the same 8.18 years by $66,536.16. Next up, and coming in at number 3 on this week's list, is Steel Dynamics, stock ticker STLD. Including today's video, this is now the 9th time I've spoken about this stock right here on my channel, including 2 selections in a row. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, which was way back in episode 2 on June 23rd of 2022, STLD is doing very well since my first mention, so let's go ahead and take a peek to see if there's more where that came from. STLD is a quarterly payer in the material sector, paying $2 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 1.63%. STLD has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 14 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 30.29%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 19.1%, and it's sustainable because the payout ratio sits at just 16.35%. Now, at the time of recording, STLD was actually trading 21.14% off of their 52-week high. There's a possible opportunity in this one. They have an ex-dividend date of March 31st with a payout date of April 11th. And looking at this chart back to a 10-year time frame, you can see that STLD would have grown into $74,781.41, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $42,842.33. With that being said, we're now at the halfway point of this week's video. If you guys haven't already, tap that like button as it helps me continue to grow my channel. And if you guys really want to help me grow the channel, use the comment section down below. You guys can let me know what you think of this week's list, if you own any of the stocks on this week's list, or you can just say hi down below. But now let's get to number 2. And next up is a stock I'm actually really excited to talk to you guys about because I've never heard of it before. Coming in at number 2 is Technoglass, stock ticker TGLS. As I mentioned, this is the very first time I'm ever talking about this stock right here on my channel, so let's go ahead and learn more right here. Technoglass is a quarterly payer in the materials sector, paying 60 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.84%. Technoglass has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 5 years, which means they're newly eligible to be considered on the list, which is why it's their first time. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 48.19% and a 5-year dividend growth rate of 2.71%, which means to me that they're starting to really grow their earnings and really starting to increase that dividend and hit their stride. So again, possible opportunity there. And it is sustainable because the payout ratio, despite that big raise, sits at just 12.79%. Now, at the time of recording, Technoglass was actually trading 17.52% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of March 31st with a payout date of April 30th. And take a look at this chart over the past 10 years. A $10,000 investment into this one would have been grown into $92,520.24, which outperformed the S&P 500 by $60,581.16. And despite my excitement in that last stock, there is one stock higher than that I feel you must know about going into next week. Coming in at number 1 on this week's list is Monolithic Power Systems, stock ticker MPWR. Including today's video, this is now the 7th time I've spoken about this stock right here on this channel, including 5 selections in a row. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, on June 23rd of 2022, MPWR is neck and neck with the S&P 500, but is slightly underperforming since my first mention. So let's go ahead and check out the metrics and long-term performance right here. MPWR is a quarterly payer in the technology sector, paying $6.24 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 1.06%. MPWR has been paying and growing their dividend over the last 8 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 27.72%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 25.6%, and a payout ratio sitting at 31.13%. Now, at the time of recording, you might be able to sneak a deal on this one. MPWR was trading 38.42% off of their 52-week high. They do have an ex-dividend date of March 31st with a payout date of April 15th. And take a peek at this chart. Over the past 10 years, that $10,000 investment into MPWR would have been grown into $116,578.92, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $84,639.84. And with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's list. But remember, if you guys happen to be watching this video on or after March 31st of 2025, there's a big chance that you already missed some of the ex-dividend dates for some of your favorite stocks in this week's list, and they're all quarterly payers, which means you now need to wait 3 long months before you get paid from any of these companies, and I already told you what Sweet Brown says.
Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
If you guys don't want to make that nearly fatal mistake again, remember you guys can subscribe and ring the bell and YouTube will notify you when these videos come out. With that being said, you 100% already missed all the ex-dividend dates for last week's list, but there's still 5 great stocks there. If you want to go check that out, you can do so right here. But until next time, see you.